Two snaps.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into it, man. So I know you were talking about
Damascus.
Damascus, and you kind of briefly told them our audience a little bit about Damascus and
Yeah.
how it was once
It
green
was
lighted
once
with
green lighted with AMC. AMC actually shot this show and they put it on the shelf.
right.
They put it on the shelf, but now it's on Tubi. It's considered a Tubi original
Okay.
because it's a show, but it's actually sci-fi.
Wow.
It's definitely sci-fi, and it's a totally black cast.
Wow.
That was one of the things that made it appealing to me, that it was sci-fi and it was a black cast. But it's about a guy named Damascus, and you see him going to a therapist.
Okay.
He's going to his therapist trying to work out some issues that he has. And in the first episode, you see his sister who comes to his apartment and tells him that, her and her boyfriend had got into a fight and she wanted him to get some of his homeboys and go ride on them.
Right.
And he was like, at first Damascus he's not a lame guy,
Yeah.
but he's kind of awkward,
Okay.
in some of his ways. So he decides to, look up his contacts and call up a couple of people, and he calls his uncle and he calls one of his friends who is a lawyer.
Okay.
And then this guy says, well, I know a couple goons. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get a goon and we'll ride out with you. So, but the uncle is played by Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence is playing his uncle. But they go to the dude's apartment and they sit down and they talk to him, and come to find out, his hitting the sister or choking the sister or whatever is in retaliation of her beating on him, and she stabbed him a couple times.
Wow.
So the dude ends up getting killed. I'll give you that much. The boyfriend ends up getting killed, which was by mistake. But come to find out, Damascus doesn't have a sister. And that whole scenario was something that was made up in his head during his time in therapy.
Wow.
Because he's going through this, they call it dirt. I can't remember what dirt means right at the moment. But it's where they put it's like they put this machine or electrodes or whatever on his head. And he lives out these different scenarios.
Okay.
He lives out these different scenarios, and it's his way of coping with his issues.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So if you get a chance, I know you said you haven't watched it.
I've not watched it.
But if you get a chance, check it out, man. It's on Tubi.
Okay.
People rag on Tubi a lot for some of the projects that are out there, but Tubi is a great
Tubi original.
This is a Tubi original.
Okay.
Again, it was first an AMC original, but
Right.
AMC didn't do anything with it. I don't know why, but they dropped the ball with Damascus. I think, I can't remember that, but there may be at the moment maybe like 6 episodes.
Right.
So if you get a chance, go on Tubi and watch Damascus. But I'll give you, if I give it 2 thumbs, my 2 snaps or whatever, after you give your review of what you watched.
Okay. And for me, man, I got an opportunity to watch Peacemaker season 2, episode 1, which was just released earlier this week on Thursday.
Yep.
And it basically picks up kind of where season 1 left off.
Okay.
So at the very beginning, and here's the thing. So for those who don't know, Peacemaker is a spinoff of the Suicide films, the Suicide Squad films, directed by James Gunn, James Gunn, who just recently directed Superman, and who is now the head of DC Studios.
That's right.
So with Peacemaker season 2, the original Peacemaker was set in the DCEU, which was previously like featured Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Justice League, all that stuff. But they're integrating this new season into what they have going on with the new DCU.
Okay.
And so at the very beginning, when they say previously in the DCU, they kind of catch you up as to like, and explain like how they're now in this new universe.
Okay.
Which is by like, and sorry, there's going to be some slight spoilers, but I'm not going to spoil, everything that happened in the episode. But at the end of last season, for the very last episode, there's a cameo by the Justice League.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so season like Peacemaker in the very last episode, there's a scene where the Justice League show up after they've already kind of taken care of whatever the issue was, right?
Yeah.
And so you see there's Batman, there's Superman, Wonder Woman, like the Justice League, Aquaman and Flash.
Yeah.
Like you clearly see Aquaman and Flash. You have a conversation, and so in the opening credits or of the new season, they show up, but this time it's not the Justice League, it's the Justice Gang who were featured in Superman. So you see Nathan Fillion's Guy Garner, you see Hawk Girl there, and they replace the Justice League. So I think that's their way of just kind of erasing everything that happened somewhat to a certain extent previously, and now they're just integrated into this new DCU instead of the DCEU. But yeah, they pretty much just explained it at the very beginning, because like a lot of the things that happened in Suicide Squad carry over into Peacemaker.
Okay.
And so when you see Peacemaker, like he's he's at a new stage in life where he's hoping to be accepted by the world and be seen as a hero, just like some of the others are. And so you'll see him going through like I guess you could say like an interview process where he's trying to join the Justice Gang.
Okay.
And that kind of plays out in a kind of, I guess you could say like a funny kind of way, because it didn't turn out the way that he was hoping for.
Okay.
And Justice Gang is going to be something to see in some upcoming DC projects. I'll just say that. But yeah, so he's a little down about everything that's going on. And then like one of the characters from Peacemaker, Harcourt, like he's they had like somewhat of a kind of a, I guess you could say, romantic fling.
Okay.
And he was just trying to see kind of where she was, and she's kind of dealing with her own thing because the organization they were working for basically got disintegrated.
Okay.
And so she's trying to find her place in this world and try to figure out what she wants to do with her career and with her life. And so she just kind of tells him that, it's just one of those things, I was drunk, you were drunk, blah, blah, blah. And so he's kind of feeling down about that. And if I don't know if if you watched season 1, but he had like issues with his dad, and he was responsible for some, I'm not gonna spoil it, but something that happened to his brother. And so, man, so there's this one scene where like he's feeling down about everything, and he goes home, and then he just decides to do something very uncharacteristic of a, I guess you could say, like a superhero.
Superhero. Okay.
But man, all I'm gonna say is like the show is wild, man. Like it's not Superman. I put it to you like that.
Okay.
It is not Superman, because like you see him do this, and then the next thing you know, if the late great John Witherspoon was still alive, he described that scene in a few words. And I'll leave it at that.
You'll leave it at that.
I'll leave it at that. But man, it was I was shocked. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It was wild.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
wild.
It was wild, man. And yeah, I was shocked to see that. But I think that's kind of the difference between the DCU and Marvel, because with Marvel, everything under the Disney umbrella is, there's some kind of strict rules. I mean, they got a little lenient with Deadpool.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, there's a huge difference between the tone of this show and Superman, which are set in the same universe. But yeah, so after that, like he goes into this, I guess you could say this room where like that his father once had, and he's able to, I guess you could say, visit different universes.
Okay.
And so that's kind of what he does, man. So he goes to this one universe where his brother and dad are still alive.
Okay.
And it kind of sets everything, like, and something happens. Like I said, I'm not trying to spoil everything. Something happens at the end of the episode, because when they see him as their brother and son.
Yeah.
So But something happens at the end that I think kind of sets up where they're going forward. But you know, I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with it. You know, in terms of what I feel about the episode, I'll give that in just a little bit.
In just a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely in line with Peacekeeper and what James Gunn has established for this particular world. So we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, bringing it on back to me with Damascus,
Yep.
and like I say, I think it's about 6 episodes. I've watched 3 so far, and I'll give it 2 snaps.
Awesome.
I truly give it 2 snaps, man. It's an amazing show to watch, especially if you're a sci-fi fan. Even if you're not a sci-fi fan, I think there's something in this show for everyone, and it'll actually, if you're not a fan of sci-fi, it will introduce you to sci-fi in a different way that you may be able to get on board with.
Okay.
So, and then for me, it was an all-black cast.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So that really did it for me as well. So I give it 2 snaps.
I want to check it out, man.
Yeah, man.
I want
Do
to check
so.
it out.
Please.
So, with Peacemaker, man, of course, as we talked about during our headline segment, that the reviews on this have been through the roof. I mean, it's DC's highest rated project ever. It's still sitting at 98% as of right now. And the critics are loving the show, man.
Yeah.
They're loving the show. I'll say this, man. I like the first episode. It's different, man, because like I don't think Peacemaker is a show for everyone.
Okay.
It definitely isn't a show for everyone. Because kids that went to see Superman definitely don't need to be watching this.
Oh, okay.
They definitely don't need to be watching this. But it's a very, very, very R-rated show. Lots of violence and other things.
Other things.
But it's different, man. I'll just say that, and I'll say this. So if I were to compare it to anything, you watch The Boys, right?
Yeah.
And The Boys can be out there.
Yes, it can.
It can be very out there, and I think this show was very similar to that, except it has more of a comedic tone to it.
Okay.
Which is that James Gunn style. So, I really want to see more episodes. I like it, but not love it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good. Like I said, can't wait to see where they go next. But if between 2 snaps.
So right now with only 1 episode, what you saw and what you're thinking, what you give it?
As of right now, as of right now, I give it 2.
Oh, okay.
I give it 2 just because I want to see where they go with it. Okay. So
just because you want to see where
I want to see where they go with it. I'm not saying that it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I don't think, to me, I don't think it's the greatest DC project I've seen. But and like I said, I'm kind of indifferent about it, to be honest. So I was on the verge of being like 1 snap, 2 snaps, but I was like, I'll give it 2 snaps just because I want to see where it goes. I'm interested. So
now I was listening to you talk about it, and before we move on, I want to ask you this question. So you mentioned the Justice League,
yeah,
and you mentioned Justice Gang, and so I want to ask you, Justice League, Justice Gang, or Superfriends?
Oh man, come on. If we're talking about like between the 3, like that have been Superfriends, man.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, we can stay friends.